investment, people who are living it are actually producing. Because we're saying to people, hey, we're going to crack the consciousness of people as far as what can be done with local production and how people can transform their lives and communities and global geopolitics by doing that. So that's the theory of that. The practice would be, okay, if you're going to talk about that, you kind of have to have some of those skills yourself. So we're going to train people to do that. So the staff will actually participate in production runs. So when you devise, if you take on the CEB press, it's with that in mind, that we're making a model where 20K a month. At first, we might start with, I'm thinking like 8 staff, and some of them will be pro fabricators, pro level fabricators. We take 8 people, we run a production run, we do the machine in as crazy as 1 day. Now that's I saw your plan. You're like, oh yeah, we're gonna do that in a day or 4 days even. That ain't gonna happen right now because there's a lot of missing pieces. Like it has to, the whole workflow, including design. We've got a new design coming from Texas. They independently replicated and upgraded the machine to a more robust version. They thickened up the frame members. So the first step is to get that transferred from Texas. I was planning probably myself and Brianna or something like that, go there like within about a month or something time. Probably after the Shuttleworth meeting in Germany at the end of this month. After that, sometime go out to California, to Texas, to the Lone Star Republic to pick off those plans, basically document that, take pictures, take data. The guy who developed this is really good, and he's got careful notes on fabrication as well. They're actually starting production down in Texas. So that would be that thing. Now, okay, so on a general note, your role is actually pretty major. It's like, it's some heavy duty, and I want to see how you feel about it. But the concept would be, okay, so the goal is 20K a month. How far do we get? I don't know. I mean, with a conscientious effort, it's a full-time effort. It's going to take a lot of work to get there. It's essentially about optimizing the production of a machine that's already been proven to have spectacular economic performance and ergonomic performance in terms of the build. So however far we get, we may or may not get there, but the goal is certainly to get to 20K, and we'll evaluate you on how well you do towards that. And the goal is really that once we develop that I'm going to pitch it as that will be how we fund further people. So whether we have to let people go or hire more people or basically involve more people as collaborative producers will depend on the success of that. So in fact, like I would say, we want everybody to be a stakeholder who's got like, I mean, do or die, or like either produce or not, kind of a stakeholdership where we are devising this program that we are all together going to participate in with minimal time. So like literally to the 1 day a week where we can produce and do like one machine in 1 day, which is like $5,000 worth of value generated in 1 day. If we can show that we're golden, we can absorb more people, we can pay you at that time if you're going to continue. And I'm thinking of actually pitching it as that. It's like, okay, if we succeed at that, kind of like your metric of success would be how far we get along that to manifesting that reality of amazing production happening, just optimization, open source optimization. We also include global collaboration, and then just getting this to be a state-of-art high performance machine, which it already is. It's high performance. It's there's little bugs, of course. All the bugs haven't been worked out. There's, in my opinion, it's a lot of development, but more on the optimization side, not on the functionality side. That's all been worked out. But basically, if you succeed, then you'll see very clearly where that's leading the organization, and then at that point we will reevaluate. But the mindset of yours should be like, okay, I'm doing it because whether my long-term, and I mean everybody's long-term, like we're all co-investing in it to make it happen, but we're doing it with the real goal that we're going to be supported by the fruit of our labor, because that's the truest way to really get I would say the functionality, make sure the functionality is there, make sure, I mean, eating our own dog food, the dog fooding it, really being in touch with what we're producing. So we're not just some kind of a manufacturer that produces shit onto the world. We're gonna live with it. We're gonna earn with it, and have that kind of a style of model. So with that said, like how do you feel about that, Marshall?
It sounds good. It sounds big, and yeah, I'm up for it.
Okay.
Sounds huge. It sounds, yeah, I think revolutionary would be a good word for it. I think it sounds big.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Excellent. So that sounds good. So you feel comfortable taking that on
Yes.
as being part of that? Okay.
Yes.
Well, excellent. So let's go ahead.
Just the halftime working remote for Arup is just, it's in the contract, but it's not. I wouldn't say right now it's likely. I would say a different path where I am 100% open source ecology is in the 75% likely range.
Okay.
And I'm working on that, and I think that'll go ahead.
So you're talking about 100% at 2,000 per month.
Yeah, that's what I'm working on. Yeah, and well, that's what I'm leaning towards. Yeah, that's what I'm. That's what things are looking like. They'll fall that way. Yeah.
Yep. And what are the practical issues involved with that? I mean, I guess should we talk about that right now? Because I mean, if you don't get it, I mean, you mentioned about health benefits and things like that, or whatever. I mean, are you saying the 100% because you really want to dive into this? You want to be an essential developer, like really core?
That's the reason I'm working towards that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there are practical repercussions depending on how that goes. I'm confident about the internal funding thing, but I can't depend on it. I'll know on the 29th of May whether or not that happens.
Oh, interesting. So it looks like the internal funding is going to come through.
I didn't say that. I'm just saying that I filled out the paperwork. I did everything I could do to make it happen, and I should know on the 29th whether or not that happens.
Uh-huh.
And that, yeah, I just spoke to some people that have some influence on it, and they seemed hopeful.
Mm-hmm. Well, that would be good because yeah, I mean, that would help us in a sense that this is going to be deep stuff and we're going to be changing the world. We want people who are full-time and changing the world. It's a full-time job.
Totally, yeah.
Okay.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
hearing. I mean,
Yeah.
and yeah, I'll let you know what I need to do, but I'm working on making it full-time for sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And the other thing is though, okay, so this, so Shuttleworth Foundation is funding me, and the money would actually go through them. So when we draw up a work contract, they will actually fill out the contract proper, like all the other details, including IP clause and stuff like that. But they would be actually the guys filling that out. In which case you would get that. I mean, that will take 3 weeks. Like they told me, like between 2 and 6 weeks, but 3 weeks is likely. Is that any issue for you at this point?
I mean, I just got to know. I got to know from you guys that it's gonna happen. That
Okay.
that I'm gonna be there and have a salary when I'm on June 18th. Can you say that?
On June 18th. Yeah. So I will. What I will say is, I will answer that question like after we write up our own work plan. Because if they cannot do that within, I mean, I'm pretty confident that they will. Like if I say it's okay, they will follow through. So it will be pretty much, I guess, due diligence at that point. But you would not receive that contract for another 3 weeks or so. Mm-hmm. But I would say let's maybe let's get into the the crux of this discussion here, and because I want to see basically like kind of refine your thinking and see how you respond to it after you hear kind of like what's the on the ground story with the whole thing, and how you fit
Okay.
in it. Okay, so okay, so the first step will be getting the goal of this is to so that we understand the outcomes, and that is the clear outcome would be the production of the CEB press, but beyond that, it's about the open business model, the distributive enterprise, a teaching model for apprentices, a collaborative production model that's being developed on top of the CEB press. It's not just the CEB press, because one in principle can take our plans right now and start producing presses, but we want to have a little more than that, including a really good documentation. So that's the deliverable. With that is, what are our available resources and everything that's around on Factory Farm? We need to go through a lot of that. So, because what I would ask you is to refine your plan after we discuss all of that. So, and then clear definition of what your role is, and then also who else is involved, what blocks exist in successful implementation of this 3-month plan. So those are the kind of things you have to ask to get started. So maybe we should go through these points in detail. So the outcomes. Do you have questions on the desirable outcomes? Or can you state, okay, so please state the desirable outcome of your 3 months.
Okay, the desirable outcome is the production of the CEB press results in a $20,000 per month profit. Does that sound right?
Well, that's the substance, but what else is around the substance? Documentation of it. So there's documentation.
Of course, we've documented an open business model.
Yep.
That is replicable. I guess globally. That carries, it's a model of that isn't let's see, I mean, there's the piece about individuals involved in the process only actually fabricate 1 day a week, but I don't know if that's necessarily within the specific outcome.
That would be one avenue, but it can explore a wide range. We can leave room for a wide range of implementation options, whether it's that 1 day with 8 people, whether it's a single full-time fabricator, various ones, and we want to adapt that to the particular case that's going to work for Factory Farm. So sure. It could be one of many operational plans to get there, consistent with OSC specifications and our values and all of that. I would like to add to that the tooling. Of course, that's part of the business plan, but defining the tooling that makes this replicable and efficient. So developing supporting tooling, and the teaching model. Because we're going to assume, and we have good evidence from last year that it's possible to take relatively unskilled or fully unskilled people, such as computer programmers, and have them do meaningful fabrication work without breaking too much equipment or killing themselves. We've seen that that's quite feasible. So there's that. So the teaching model for participants.
Teaching and training. Right?
Yes. Teaching model, training model for participants is what we will develop as part of that. Yeah, but the part is, Aaron, it's like how amazingly skilled. It's not really. It's what we will wow people with is the fact that the basic level of competence required is not that high because we're designing the process for fabrication. We're designing the process not only for fabrication, but for tolerancing as well. And did I just make that up? Design for tolerancing? Marshall, have you ever heard of that?
No.
I might have made it up. I'm sure somebody else used it before, but we design things such that the tolerancing issues are addressed by virtue of the fabrication technique. So, for example, you don't do a thing that it's really hard to tolerance. You either create a simple way to reduce the tolerance requirement, or you create a technique which allows you to do that precisely, absolutely, but without having to be a master craftsman.
Got it. Yeah.
So, yep. So we will wow people. That's just an aside, but that's like all the cultural elements I need to share with you. We will wow people with understanding the limits of basic skill. Because I'm basically skilled. I'm not an artisan. I can learn things. I can logic things out. I can possibly be classified as like a craftsman, but I have very basic skills, and I can tell you, vouch that the skill level required in production is not high. So, okay, but moving on. So that's basically it for the outcome. A 20K per month. However, we have the personnel plan on that, but within the realm of between one professional to about 8 or more, basically collaborative producers. 1 to 8 in general, 1 to 8 collaborative producers. And then we can even say 16, like if there's 8 trained producers, and this others are gophers or basically total unskilled apprentices who just fetch things and do very little tasks. But basically that's all to be designed. Okay, so that's the outcomes. Going on to the next one. So understanding the available resources. What are those, Marshall?
What are the available resources?
Yeah. What available resources do we have today to implement this 20K per month earning model? Start listing.
Okay. We have the. I'm writing this down. We have the wiki with documentation of previously built CEBs.
Yes.
We have online enthusiasm. We have a large group of enthusiastic interest.
You don't have to write it down because I think Aaron is recording it if you don't want to.
Got it.
Aaron, you're recording, right?
So I want to speak to. I mean, we have available resources. We have national shipping systems. We have UPS. We have U.S. Postal Service, FedEx. We have existing infrastructure that creates raw materials from mined ores, and we have something on the order of $2 million, right?
Who, we? No, we don't.
We don't?
Like, as far as the cash that we have to for the project?
Yeah, I thought I read that on the site.
No, that must have been Aaron's propaganda.
Okay, got it.
We've got available resources at present are $400,000, and but I'm hoping that we don't use nearly that amount of money to deploy this. In fact, the objective would be to, one, for you to take leadership on, like, say, I don't know, for example, if we can get somebody to do CAD, you can do it perhaps. If we talk about materials, of course, we're going to pay for materials. But as far as the people, we can assume for now that we probably will, let's assume for now that we're going to have 8 people that are here that you will have access to. So you will have that experimental labor force who you can train. So I would state that. Let's assume 8 people on site. And yeah, the money can be used, but hopefully, I mean, the experiment would be how little of it can we use because we crowdsource things, and potentially even do things like for example, in Kansas City, there's some people that volunteered to donate stock steel sections, you know? So we might even be able to, we'd have to follow up and find it. But, okay, but what else? You missed a couple of pieces of infrastructure that we have at our avail.
There's property, and there's
Yeah.
some form of a roof, right? I mean, I don't know what it looks like. But.
Yeah, we've got a 4,000 square foot facility with a concrete slab. So it's got 12 bays. It's called the OSC shop. You can look it up on a wiki. But we got 4,000 square feet, essentially like 12 bays. You can say 12 bays of 16 by 16 feet. That's where I get the number of like 8 to 12. Like there's a middle set of bays you can travel through with a tractor to bring materials in. And there's 8 bays on the side. So I'm thinking like, okay, 8 people, 1 per bay working on workstations. And you can look at the, there's a page on the wiki, which is called OSC Workshop. Is it, Aaron? So you kind of have to, I think the crux, Marshall, of your work is to really get familiar with what we have regarding infrastructure and fabrication equipment, because fabrication optimization will rely on optimizing the facility and tooling to make that happen. So that's the part, and then the other part is the people. But you can't go anywhere without the infrastructure, and that is on, just look up workshop, just plain workshop as said as the title of the page on the wiki. And in it, it shows a floor plan, which includes 4 welding tables. We have 1 of them right now, and we would have to move it into place. Right now, if you look at any of our recent videos in daily stand-ups, we do that in a workshop. So there's actually a video on that same page. Just look at any of our recent videos to understand what the workshop looks like right now. We don't have the shelves put up. We're putting in 3-phase power. The inverter for 10 kilowatts of industrial power is arriving this weekend. So everything is in process. The iron worker is being built. We have parts for the CNC torch table, things like that. But all of that is not in place yet. Basically, that design that's up there is not implemented much. Yunso, for example, is now working on equipping the electronics section of the workshop. He's buying oscilloscopes and other stuff because the CEB has a controller in there that we make ourselves, and with this, and we aim to produce it with a CNC circuit mill that Yunso is developing, but he does not have that yet. He will aim for the next prototype within about 30 days. That's the status. So there's that, and there's the Hab Lab, the living units, which is a 10-person dormitory that we have, which is comfortable. We happen to have running water that is also hot. A major accomplishment for Factory Farm after all these years. And kitchen and living space in there. But I think a careful study of the existing mechanical fabrication infrastructure, you need to understand it. Like, for example, we have 2 Miller-Matic 200 welders. We probably want to get more of those. I mean, basically we have to be, okay, what is the equipment base that we have? What backup do we have? What recovery plans do we have in case of equipment failure? Because the concept would be, okay, in this production run to be effective, you basically have to ensure 100% tool, power, and people uptime. Otherwise, it's not going to take you 10 hours. It's going to take you 2 or 3 days to build a machine. So those are kind of the thought processes that need to happen. And possibly hoses, hydraulic hoses, or hydraulic takeoff, and like basically hydraulic, how they have shop air. I think we're going to built-in shop hydraulics, meaning we can plug in hydraulic devices into outlets in the wall, like the ironworker's hydraulic. The actually lathe, we're converting it to hydraulic. There's going to be a few hydraulic devices, so we want to have hydraulic takeoffs, plugs in the walls, and we actually want to have the ability to make our own hoses. We don't have that yet, but a crimping system for hoses, which is a little hydraulic press. Probably we'll need a hydraulic press to test bricks or something like that. Things like that. So there's hydraulic power involved. But essentially, you have to get a good feeling for available resources. And also the other available resources is design. The new design from Texas. That has to be considered. What else do we have, Aaron, on the resources relevant? We're going to have 2 tractors here at that time that hopefully will be working. We're just getting the one probably running tomorrow. We're going to start testing the one tractor that we're shipping out. We've got another one and another one in Texas that we're going to be getting back in June, early June. We loaned that to James Slade, one of the developers. We've got a couple of Bridgeport mills and a surface grinder and a big lathe and a small lathe. We're going to have oscilloscopes. Just a bunch of basic workshop equipment. The iron worker is going to be a critical part. I think the iron work and torch table might be pretty critical to the CEB success. So those are 2 things to pay attention to, whether we have those available. Brianna's finishing up on the iron worker. She's probably going to spend another month on it. She's machining some parts on that, things like that. So clear understanding of available resources is another part. Okay. What questions do you have? So let's discuss a little bit on the resources, maybe for a few minutes. What do you need to know regarding the resource base? I know I threw a lot down, but you have to kind of get to a good understanding of what we have, because if you're going to be managing that process, you have to learn up on all that we have. And the other thing is we have a bunch of shelves and organizing space still to do within the workshop, because there's all these kinds of parts, hydraulics, this and that, nuts and bolts, we need to store effectively. Like if you look at the videos, you can see that all our shelves are still collapsed. We need to build them up and organize stuff and make the layout super efficient. So okay, but I'd like you to ask me some questions that you might have, and it's probably going to be easier to ask after you look at the workshop page on the wiki, because it shows the layout of the workshop as we were planning it right now.
Yeah, I'll need to spend some time with that.
Yeah. And we're off grid actually. So we're off grid right now. We can use power cubes for power. Otherwise, we're going to have the big battery bank that's about 30 kilowatt hours of power, enough to run welders pretty much all day, like 1 or 2 welders. But we might have to consider those issues very carefully too. It's a bank of batteries at 72 volts. 800 amp hours. So that's the storage capacity. What we have is a Honda 2 kilowatt generator that will basically trickle charge those all day, and then as people use it up throughout, they probably could get probably 2 welders working full time would be able to use that battery bank without using it up. So we're basically off grid here, but the next step on that is actually to get we do have modern steam engine parts and a prototype heat exchanger to run that. We're going to hire a machinist to help us finish that, but our plan here is to basically go with pelletized biomass to fuel our off-grid facility using modern steam engines, and that we hope to get that this year still. And that would be actually part of the optimism. We're saying, oh yeah, so I didn't say this, but the real deal is actually an off-grid fabrication facility, so we can pop this in the middle of nowhere and you can have a full industrial economy, essentially.
So we're staying off grid. That's the plan.
Yeah, we are. We're not on a grid here. So we're on a grid only for internet here.
So the 10 kilowatt inverter, the inverter you said being delivered?
Yeah, that's being delivered right now. That's 10 kilowatts of 240 volts AC for a lathe. Okay. Yeah, that runs our welders. And we have a 3-phase converter of 15 kilowatts that will run. We also have 2 3-phase welders, 2 Hobarts, a Hobart Mega MIG and another Hobart 200 amp welder.
So that inverter is just taking the battery over to AC.
Yeah.
the battery DC over to AC for those welders and everything. So how are the welders running right now?
Can you hear the noise in the background? It's a power cube running. It's running a PTO generator. So we have
Okay.
a PTO generator with a 20 kilowatt generator head um, running off our power cube hydraulically. We're also
Okay.
from the Joe Justice Team WikiSpeed. We're getting a donation of another welder power supply. So it's a stick welder, but it has a 240 voltage source. So I guess that's like 10 kilowatts or something. So we're gonna have that as backup. So we're gonna have that power source as a backup, which is just gasoline, and the power cubes as backup with our PTO power takeoff generators here as backup if the batteries aren't doing it for us. So,
Okay.
but we essentially have 72 volts, 800 amp hours.
That's our limit for what? That's the limit of storage capacity.
Limits of storage capacity, which is being trickle charged at 1.5 kilowatts.
At 1.5, or we're down to 1.5.
Yeah.
Okay.
1.5 kilowatts.
And that's just what, unleaded fuel going into that little, or
Yeah,
diesel?
little Honda. That's a little Honda generator.
Is that diesel, or is that
No, that's
unleaded?
just a lead, just a
Unleaded.
gasoline.
Okay.
Yeah, but hoping to transition to that modern steam engine. That's actually one of those things that's like really pushing the limits of this project. But in all reality, the CB production off grid would require that you have something like that. Now, it would be awesome if we were to get that, but that's going to require more resources and more time. But basically, if we can get our management infrastructure up properly, we can manage to do all this. Right now I suck at managing, so I can't get it off that fast. I'm learning, but we're bringing in the people and the resources to basically scale this enterprise to be able to basically handle any number of projects at a time. Well, I mean, to within reason, but essentially have a robust and fast scalable product development pipeline as a result. So we're at the baby stages of that. Okay, tell me what else you might need to know regarding the infrastructure or available resources.
So these 8 people coming in as a labor force, are they filling a specific list of needs? They volunteers?
They're
Are they volunteers?
Yes, primarily volunteers. Some of them not volunteers. Don't know yet what that fraction will be, but at least right now, if we accept the people that we've been interviewing, that we've been discussing, our total number of people comes out to 17 by July 1st. Actually, so I'm saying that we will allocate a portion of our population here directly to the production run, to optimizing the production run, and there will have to be a camera person on that team to document this carefully. CAD capacity that's going to have to be generated, and whether it's you or somebody else. And we've got CAD people. The thing that I guess the most important part that we are bringing to the table is we're working on right now as we speak on a 40-hour instructional course, crash course on flexible fabrication. So your basic workshop, torch, weld, mill, drill, lathe, basic techniques, torch and weld, drill, basic shop awareness, and all that.
So 40 hours of like videos in a course, or is it?
It will be 40 hours of instruction time, hands-on instruction time, where it will be class plus hands-on. The class would be probably 1/3 of that, probably 1/4 of the time, and hands-on 3/4 of the time. Also including preparatory material that you study the theory, and in the class you get shown the tools and you start wielding tools. And that's 40 hours of training, and actually we were considering the last 10 hours of that to be actually CAD training. And after that, you take a test whenever you're ready, and we're going to certify you to assess properly what you can and cannot do. so that when you come up to a person, you know what their skills are. They'll have our certification on their forehead. Yeah. But basically, this is the kind of thing where we're taking people and becoming very clear. Like last year, we had a lot of experience where we taught people just very basics, but we have to do a better job on that. One, to make people's time more productive. I mean, to teach them first of all, and second, to make the production run more effective. So that, for example, when I send somebody off to cut this 1 inch slab of metal, I know that they will do that without like burning themselves or having a line that goes like an S.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
things like that.
So in the list of outcomes, I heard a teaching or training model for participants, and now I'm hearing a 40-hour crash course that you're developing right now.
Yeah, yeah,
Is that the same thing?
yeah. That would be the training part. We hope to get this. Now, Aaron, what would you estimate our estimated time of arrival for this training course, Aaron? Yeah. So yeah, but basically the concept is you don't have to worry, I don't think, so much about that part, because that's the part that if let's see, you were talking about July 1st as your no, no, hold on a second. You're talking about the 18th.
June 18th is what I've been saying.
Okay, okay. If that is the case, then you would be involved in some way. We're not going to be done by June 18th. Today is what, the 17th. That's 1 month from now. We're not going to be done by that time, but it's basically going to be, you can say, publish early and often. We're going to do as much as we can to prepare as much material as we can. Like, for example, one of our guys is currently finishing up a welding tutorial, and we will train people. We can train people. So say you arrive, there's going to be a 3 month time period where we do all this stuff, from training, working with the 8 people on site and all that. So I guess the fact is going to be that if you're coming here on the 18th, then you would be involved in that in some way, um, depending on how much we have done of that beforehand.
So I'm understanding that I may be involved in that, but I'm not planning on, I don't know, my homework and all my focus.
Hmm.
It sounds like doesn't need to be on that. Like, I can support that in some way, but my focus is more on the production of the CEB press up to an enterprise.
Yeah, yeah, your focus, yeah, so that gets into the clear definition of role, and that would be the enterprise development, facility development, tooling development, um, training insofar as you're presented with people who are ready to wield tools. Does that sound like that makes sense? Like, for example, you will take, so you've got, so ergonomics of production, work out a production layout. I mean, what do you call that? Production design? Facility design?
When you say, let's see, facility design, meaning like the location of the equipment, like, or are you
Yeah.
talking about, okay,
Yeah,
or the order of
basically,
operations?
yeah, basically get the workshop to a place which can absorb 8 people to work very efficiently on producing a CEB machine in as fast a time as possible. And maybe our first milestone will be 1 week. It's probably realistic, yeah. 1 week with 8 people. Well, maybe next time around we do 3 days with 8 people, and the next time around we do 1 day with 8 people. You know, so I would see
Mhm.
that kind of, to me right now, sounds like a realistic goal. 1 week down to 3 days, down to 1 day. But your role would be to focus on the enterprise development, the ergonomics, sourcing. Sourcing is going to be very important. We have to have reliable sourcing. So sourcing development. Um, the documentation, insofar as you're directing the assumption that you will have a documenter available,
Hmm.
and you're directing them to be priority on your project because this is the substance that we're developing right now, so that we'll all focus, basically swarm around the CEB process. Um, so documenter is available. What other, Aaron, what other critical roles do we have on site at that time to support that process? Or basically, yeah. And as far as right hand man, I would see that Miguel Castro could probably be that guy. We'll see. Did we get the his video today yet? Okay. Okay. So anyway, these are all details in development. Um, I don't know if the agriculture person coming here has anything to do with this process outside of possibly feeding us. Uh, but there's going to be an agriculture person. Um, Construction director is a person we'd like to get in by July 1st as well. So, for example, in a field testing, you will hopefully, and I can't guarantee that person will be there, but one of us will have to do that. So it might be myself or Yunso or somebody that's done CB construction, or at least we're gonna hire the CEB construction guy for a day or something, if we don't have our construction director at that time, because the field testing will be another aspect of that. So you're responsible for a complete product. You're going to have Yunso to develop the electronics infrastructure, and as if it all goes as planned, we will be milling our own circuits with our open source ecology circuit mill. So that's something to, as you see, we're basically kind of doing the technological recursion to the tools of production. Okay. No, okay, that's the other aspect. We have not advertised anything, but in our backlog, like in my inbox, I have a few people that have expressed interest that I basically said, take the blueprints to your local fabricator and get them made. And but the most recent advice should be, don't build this until we come out with the next product. It's going to be better. So um, we can tap our existing contact list of people interested in the press, or we can simply say, hey guys, uh, I think the easiest route would be blogging about it and going through our social media and saying, hey guys, we're doing this breakthrough business model with Marshall here. Who wants the CEB press that's produced? And we'll probably get a sale within a few days. So that's my assumption right now. Well, yeah, yeah. Actually, Marshall. Actually, what we're planning to do with the first CB press that we produce, our goal is we have a basic house design already. which you can look up under OSE Micro House. We've got a simplified version of the Micro House, which we aim to build in under 1 week with 3 people for under $5,000. So we're going to also produce a product with the CEB press. So that's another aspect of that. Okay. So your role is focusing on an enterprise model, training, tooling, facility. Did I miss anything? Marshall, what else do you think you would be doing under the enterprise development side? And did I miss anything glaring?
Training, tooling, ergonomics/facility, enterprise. I'm probably going to need to digest a little bit to to break it down further.
Okay, if you've got so basically we're doing a brain dump of a lot of things. So actually, what I want to ask you is, let's maybe spend like 15 minutes to wrap this up. But I'd like to hear then after this discussion, are you able to produce an updated version of the work plan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, is the project layout, does that qualify for the work plan, or is this specifically for the Shuttleworth documentation?
For Shuttleworth, we need a work plan that we send on to them that will be the actual, these are the deliverables. So this is your work duties requirements, right? So this is your proposed work plan that will keep you accountable as far as what you're doing in that time for assessment purposes and just to fulfill the contract.
And is that separate from what you're saying now by updating the work plan? Those are two separate things.
Well,
right?
no, same. So a work plan is just update what you have on a work plan. That was pretty epic. You put in a pretty detailed description. I think that can be upgraded.
The list, the bulleted list, that was like a couple pages.
The Gantt chart, yeah.
Oh, the Gantt chart. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
That was epic. You have to fill in the stuff that we're downloading to you right now, and just integrate that with that.
Sure, and that's gonna qualify for what you need to give to Shuttleworth.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Well, yeah, absolutely. Do you need, Marshall, anything from us? I mean, as far as a walk, I think what would be appropriate is a walkthrough of the existing tooling, perhaps a 10-minute walk through our workshop to show you everything that we got. That's going to be critical as a starting point. This is what we have right now, and I will describe everything, what working order it's in, what it needs, and so forth. And you can really, yeah, okay, I'll do that tomorrow morning, first thing, and send that on and upload it to YouTube. Because that's going to be actually critical for your assessment of the tooling needs.
Sure.
And then you can match what you see in a video with the design workshop of the workshop on the workshop page on a wiki. And you can see that you'll see that the theoretical design is different than what we have in a workshop, and then it'll be about bridging the two or modifying or however. And we'll let you make those decisions, and I will approve the decisions as far as, okay, does this work? If, like, basically, as soon as you start demonstrating that you know what you're talking about and you're making sound decisions, it's like, I'm going to start getting out of the way as much as possible. So that's how it basically works. And at best, it's like, I wish that you do it, that I don't have to check what is Marshall doing, or is he messing anything up. No, you have to show it, and then you'll get a lot of authority over the process. So that's just the basic rules of meritocracy. Yep. Okay, the fourth question I had, who else is involved? We discussed that a bit. So we talked about the other roles that will be available. And if you have any questions, let me know. What blocks exist? So the last question that we should really discuss is what blocks exist to the successful implementation of this goal. Um, what do you think that is, Marshall? What are some of the blocks?
Okay. Blocks would be consistent power. I mean, all these are mitigatable, right? We can work on taking these on, but these are just identifying potential
blocks and challenges. Some are blocks like oh yeah, we gotta get our power up. Challenges are, oh wow, to get this fully cut out on a torch table is going to be a challenge or something, you know.
Okay.
But you have to kind of assess the existing design and look at the things that lend themselves to torching versus not. The hopper absolutely lends itself. The frame, we're actually considering this would be experimental, but imagine if we could lay out the whole structural steel to actually do the holes and cut the members through on the torch table. Now, I can tell you that you can't do that in one step, but what if we did the cut on the flat face of the U-channel? You can't do it through the web. Well, the two U parts, the torch won't cut through that because it's like 3 inches typically. Okay. Or if we set it on really, really high, we actually can cut it, but that would be a challenge. Basically, if you do it normal, you'd cut it partially to length for all the members. You can probably cut out, torch out all the holes. We've never done that. What we've done before is match drilling with a mag drill or torching by hand some of the other holes. Some need to be precise, some don't.
What we should do is, like I said, make jigs. Just
jigs.
Some scrap aluminum. You can buy jig bushings, and you press them in. You bore the holes precisely. Press in these things. They're like hardened little bushings, and then when you drill, it doesn't damage the bushing because it's so hard that it makes sure the bit goes in at the same place every time.
Yeah, that's Brianna talking, and she's built 4 of the machines last year. She's got experience on that. James Slade built the machine independently. So did Dan Schellenberg, totally independently, in Texas. Those would be good people to actually talk to in your research. So blocks, think about those. I would say the biggest block right now. Oh yeah, for the blocks, actually look up the wiki page called 2-Year Strategic Plan. If you can't find us, let me know. But basically, the number 2-year strategic plan. In it,
I've seen the link. Yeah.
Yep, I have a link to an OSC self-funding business model, and in it, I kind of both in that one, I discuss the challenges like we have encountered last year. So read through those and think about the blocks as far as what stands in the way of this. But other than that. That's okay. So that was a big download. There's a lot of stuff. Don't feel too overwhelmed. That's a lot of stuff, but there will be 3 months to get as far on this problem statement as we can. So that means, yeah, I mean, we're done with the design pretty much. This is getting into the distributive enterprise phase of a given product. Now that's very exciting because we were never there yet. We were basically developing the products, proving that they could work or proving that they could be sold. So right now we're moving steps one foot after the next.
I think sales and marketing is a potential block. Could speak more to that, but I think that's something that not a block, but just something we need to focus on to actually get that revenue going.
Yeah, that could be. And if we can demonstrate that we can produce, yeah, you're right, because I think it's going to be easier to demonstrate that we can produce those amazing volumes in production. The challenge will be, is there a market? But yeah. I think that the demand is there. I'm pretty convinced that the demand is there. I mean, last year we sold for the compressed earth presses without advertising. So, yeah, but that's a good point. And also, like, I have a comment on it. If it turns out that we can produce it, but the market is not there, I think that's fine, because we actually believe in not marketing at all if we're producing essential products. So we're after essential products. It's one of our goals is the autonomous communities, which means that you don't worry about selling stuff if you're autonomous. You can produce everything. We like trade, of course, because trade you can get exotics, but for essentials you shouldn't. You should have that built within your community. But for essentials like chocolate and bananas, you can trade, of course, for non-essentials like those.
But I mean, our goal is this monetary number per month, the $20,000 per month. So
I would be satisfied. I mean, I don't know, how do you feel about that, Aaron? But I'd be satisfied if we can show that production, because I think even if we don't show the marketing, the production is more important at this point. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of revenue models that can be tapped. Certainly, this distributive production where you just outsource the production and take a cut. That's one way. It could be with respect to the business model. Could be we end up training entrepreneurs where we provide full training on that, and they pay us for training. I mean, there's different ways you can do it. The goal of this, as far as to specify the goal, it's not humble. It's simply to make the most replicated CB press in the world. But that's kind of where we're aiming on that. So the marketing issues, that's a big area, because if we're accountable to building the most replicated CB machine in the world, that's a big responsibility. And marketing in there would be involved, but it would not be traditional marketing. It would be social marketing primarily, as far as I could see.
Sure. Yeah, I'm just identifying it as something that needs exploration.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I hear that banners on Gmail isn't probably our best path.
But the next TED Talk could be.
The next what?
TED Talk.
Sure. Is there a scheduled TED Talk?
No, not yet. But I expect to be speaking probably not this year. I'm not speaking this year, but probably next year, depending on the success of your project, Marshall.
Okay.
No, I mean, we're developing a lot of interesting stuff, so there will be lots to talk about. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Should I go into more blocks?
No, I mean that'll be like, I don't know. We're kind of running out of time. Maybe we could quit it, but I mean there will definitely be challenges. I mean there's going to be challenges left and right, and I think probably in your work plan you should consider recovery plans and failure modes as much as you can.
Okay. Yeah, I understand that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So yeah, that's about all I've got. So
so timeline-wise, is it that we can't request the work order from Shuttleworth or get Shuttleworth to okay the work contract until I have this work plan laid out?
Well, I mean, that's also for our purposes. It's like I want to see. I mean, I just want to see how you respond to this input from us. You can call this like the final interview, but I'm not promising anything. But I mean, you look really good, and we're excited. I just want to take a look at what you write up from what we discussed today, and push it through. And depending on that, I mean, I could really push for that. That I can give you a guarantee of some sort. Like basically, I can stand behind it, pretty much based on what I see here. But I mean, I'm saying I like what I'm seeing so far. I think pretty much we're resonating on the concept. I mean, how do you feel?
I'm feeling challenged, and it feels good. I'm feeling inspired by just these visionary and just some radical ideas about living in the world. That's in general. In specifics, yeah, I'm not feeling self-conscious like I have any concern. The fact that, I mean, using the term final interview sounded kind of, I mean, I was kind of a surprise to hear that. But I guess I'm a little bit antsy after I hear that, and after I'm like seeing the leap I need to take probably like tomorrow morning with my work.
Tell me more about your timeline requirements. When would you be comfortable about? You're saying leap as in you. Why is the June 18 a critical point? Is there a reason for that?
No, that was. I wanted to give you guys. I wanted to get out there as soon as I could, essentially.
Okay, but
and
let's just.
That was kind of it.
Okay, well, we don't have to. I mean, I want to make sure that we're all we're taking some time. It's true, but we've had that little snag on governance issues and things like that. I mean, it took a little bit more, but we want to be careful and diligent about this whole process on our side. So take the time you need just to respond on this. And then we can go from there. Because I mean, we haven't made any promises yet, right? I mean, we haven't written a contract or anything like that. This is still discussion that leads us to writing a solid contract, right? So, and to do that, I need to see your process, how you process the stuff that we took today, because that's going to be the real substance. This is the serious stuff that's going to take those 3 months, and we have to take it very seriously. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I mean, I told you guys I wanted a month. I guess I'm understanding that to you, June 18th isn't necessarily, you don't need me there as soon as possible. If I'm there close to July 1st, it's not a big difference.
Yeah. I mean, we want people as soon as possible, but the assumption there being is we go through the proper due diligence. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean that's perfectly fine. I mean, closer to July 1st, that's all right. That's fine. I mean, basically, I must share that. Yeah, I mean, we said, oh yeah, this entire team by July 1st and all of this and that, but I'm just learning that it takes time. The recruiting part is a serious part, and it just takes time. So I'm kind of like, maybe like when I first put forth those announcements, like, oh yeah, just do it. But the reality has set in that it takes longer than one thinks.
Okay.
So I'm kind of I'm a little more relaxed about that by understanding that it's you don't just dream it up and say, oh yeah, by that day we're gonna have X people. It's like you have to ground that. Okay, well, how long is your search? How much time are you spending with each person and all that? It takes time.
Sure. So so me developing this work plan, would you anticipate me doing a lot more legwork between that and me arriving at Factory Farm?
Well, I mean, that's up to you, I think. I mean, let's see. It would be nice if you research that as much as possible, because that means, so you're gonna basically write down your work plan. Here's what you expect to do. I guess the constraint on that is it's that which you will be responsible for doing. So it's like, however much you do before that, yeah, you just basically have to write a plan that you can commit to. That's it, So you can gauge yourself. Like if you're intrinsically motivated by the project, you probably will look into some of the details and start researching that, right?
Yeah, I definitely will. I'm asking that just, are we going to have phone calls a couple times a week, and I'm going to have, specific things to look at?
Okay. I see what you're saying.
Or is it going to be more?
Are you saying, are we open to that? Are we willing to give you that time? Or what are you asking?
I guess I'm asking, is that going to be is it going to be an expectation that I'm like producing more material in preparation?
Expectation? Well, I the way, like, offhand, I would say, okay, you write the project plan, and I guess well, on one side, we are willing to spend time with you if you need that. Now, if you want to leave it off until that time, until you come, that's also understandable, given that I respect that you'll be busy doing other things. Does that answer that, or?
It does. That's great. I understand. I appreciate that freedom and that ability. If that's what I need to do, and you're available for me, if I request that. So that sounds
the logic behind this is simple. It's we want this project to succeed. If you're going to be taking on a significant role, we want to help you as much as we can, because this is very important. I mean, if you're going to take on that role, that's a big role. We want it to succeed, so naturally we'd want to help you as much as we can.
Great.
It's not like we're just going to throw you out there, because no, I mean, we know more about it than you do. And we want you to succeed. We want the project to succeed. So it's in our interest to help. Yeah.
Great. I would anticipate more like an email with a list of 5 to 10 questions, just with really clear data, just quantities of different things and things like that.
Sure. So we should document that. We should keep a good paper trail of that on the wiki, so that once again, by living openly like that, anyone else can follow it and contribute to that process. Yep.
Great.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, that's a good way to think about it. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Cool. Yes. Cool. Yeah, it'd be great. It'd be great.
Can I make that too, or Okay. Yeah. If you guys want to meet earlier, or if you want me to join, or whenever, yeah, I'm open to that. Mm-hmm. Okay. Excellent.
Cool. So we could do like a dinner or something, maybe. I don't know. you guys could come over to my place.
Yeah. Sure.
Do you have accommodation for that? Okay, cool.
So scared. I take you back to your brother.
Yeah, well, this sounds good. I'm pretty excited. I think I feel pretty good about this conversation. So, anything else, or?
I'd like to give you an expectation of when I can get this to you, or when I'll have something that I'm pretty happy with. And I probably need something around, what is it, Thursday today?
Mm-hmm.
Probably say let's see, what is Monday, Tuesday? Let's say, I want to say by Tuesday night.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll see it probably Wednesday morning.
Excellent. That'd be great. Cool. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I don't have anything else.
Okay, well, excellent. So thanks a lot for talking, and we'll be in touch. So we'll look forward to that. What I will do is I will send you the walkthrough of the equipment in an existing shop. I'll send you about a 10-minute video tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Excellent.
Okay, thanks.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
So thanks, Marshall. Mm-hmm. Thanks.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.